This is things you might not have heard for the 23rd of August. Almost done. I'm Jay Clifton Payne. This Friday is done the 23rd of August, 2024. And for things you might have heard, we'll have 8 stories in the queue from yesterday, stories that were big topics, because you said they were big topics, things that people are talking about all over the place, including, yes, opening up with the speech and the lack of star power, which is actually a good thing. So we'll have that coming up, plus 7 other stories that you deemed that were conversational, and some birthday love to some great folks. Let's call it the geezer love, but these are beautiful old geezers, if you will, folks that we have known and loved, at least in my generation, for quite some time. The younger folks may take some explaining. Now, we'll get some real explaining on how we get the articles, get the ideas, get the stuff for you in this program at the end of, or actually technically it's in the middle of the show, the end of the first show, beginning of the second show. We'll explain it as well. But we'll get you the news, tell you how the news gets here and what the information comes from in a bit. But remember, you can find out more about us just on your own as a whim by going to our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and seeing what's going on there. You can also email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com and get more details, more insights on what's going on. Anytime you want to ask us questions, we will do what you can in any sort of information on that end as well. Now, as we said, today happens to be Friday, the 23rd of August in 2024. And these stories are in no particular order. In fact, the first story is the top story, and we're not even doing the scientific stuff. This is just what needs to be talked about. We didn't have a chance to put in a post for this to kind of review this, but these are stories that you deem conversational through your engagement. As I said, I'll explain that more in a minute, but let's get to the engagement that is number one story for this morning. The headline that we posted from the AP, we stuck with AP for 4 days of coverage, and they have a wrap up with Harris summons Americans to reject political division, warns of consequences posed by Donald Trump's win. So Vice President Kamala Harris, her official job right now, is now officially taking on the role of the nominee of the Democratic committee. She's going to be running for president on that side. Happened last night with her big full speech in Chicago. Lasted about 37 minutes, and it was right on time. She gave out a copy. You'd always give a copy of the speech beforehand so they can kind of start digging through it and they can start working the press some pieces of it. And she basically hit her time hack perfectly. She stayed on message and was a great speech. Pretty much everyone decided it was a great speech. People who were Republicans said, hey, she's gotten better behind the podium, a great delivered speech. No problems with that one. People who were Democrats were all agag about being inspired about the words she said, talking about her personal stories, talking about how she's going to do things, given some policy issues in this briefing, and not doing very much in the way of bashing Trump. Trump bashing happened all week long with various other people, including a lot of crowd-sized jokes, which were actual, other type jokes. But she did make the point by saying that Donald Trump is dangerous, but we don't have to go there. And he's a silly man. He's a not serious man, but we don't have to go there. And that's where the danger comes from. Now, a couple things that shows Donald Trump may be silly and or dangerous. He actually sent out about 50 or so different messages on social media about the speech, essentially wanting to remind folks that he was there and that people were talking about him because that's what it was all about. He also said, literally in words, in a phone call to Fox, then a phone call to Newsmax, then another phone call to Fox, where it seemed like they're like, okay, Mr. President, we're kind of doing a show here. We got to let you go. Aaron grievances about the speech, saying she didn't talk about this. And in 37 minutes, remember, Trump talked for up 90 minutes, did 20 minutes on, the love of unity and life and what happened in shooting. And then 60 minutes or so of just everything sucks. You should vote for me because everything sucks. Kamala Harris gave something that was a bit more promising, a bit more up, and the message of hope continues, which is essentially what they're fighting against. Donald Trump wants to take things back to where they were because they're perceived as better. Kamala Harris, and before that, Joe Biden, want to keep going forward and sort of actually make things better and work on things in the process of going forward. We'll see how things play out. We are less than 80 days, 75 or some. They keep throwing the numbers out there, about 75 days until the actual election. Early voting begins in a few days, essentially. The next debate is going to be on September the 10th. A few days after that, some states do early voting. We are in the window. It's about to happen. We're going to have not the election that we thought we're going to get, an election that is, by all means, insanely not what we thought we're going to get, just not what we were expecting. But we'll see what happens with the turnout at the end of October, beginning of November, and come January, who gets sworn in as 47. One last stop in the talk about the convention. We're actually going back to Wednesday. And this is an interesting article that popped up because this comes back to something, just a long-standing joke my dad has, a long-standing dad joke about Stevie Wonder's actual ability to see. In fact, he's been faking blindness for all his life. The headline for the story has Stevie Wonder's DNC performance leaves viewers confused due to teleprompter controversy. The short version of this is that Stevie Wonder was walked out on stage to a keyboard yesterday evening to sing Higher Ground and do a little speech. And so because he's blind, he's walked out to the keyboard. And he has a mic. They put him more or less in front of it. He feels his ways in the keys because keyboards don't change. And he does a speech. Does a nice long speech. Does a nice great speech. A very good speech. But one, it's a long speech. And so it's a little bit detailed, and most of the people that have gone on stage and done these things have had some sort of teleprompter going to tell them what's going on and keep on track. And two, the teleprompter is still on stage. So is Stevie Wonder reading the teleprompter to get his speech out, or did he actually memorize the whole thing? Yes, he memorized the whole thing. He is actually blind. He's been blind since infancy. So he's been blind all his life, and he's still blind. Even my dad's joke from back in the 80s, when he had the Don't Drive Drunk song. And at the end of the song, he says, hey, give him the keys, which my dad always said. No, he says, hey, give me the keys. And he's saying that because he can drive because he's not blind. This has been an ongoing joke for a while, and it bubbled back up again on Wednesday at the convention. Folks, you don't have to go to Snopes for this one. Stevie Wonder is very much blind. And he's been doing this stuff for a long time and very good at memorizing, learning things that come from his head and from his heart. The words he said were very, very popular, very, very strong, and from his heart. So it's hard not to believe he couldn't memorize them. He's blind. Stevie Wonder is blind. Just go with me on this one. Let's go to another story. And this one is coming from CNN, about CNN, and it's a big Russia story that could turn into something big. As we've talked about the hostage, I'll call them hostages, detainees, people that have been arrested in Russia over the past couple of years that have just been released and more still there. Russia has a good chance of putting you in jail if they want to put you in jail. This is something that may turn into something that CNN may have to deal with. Russia opens criminal investigations to CNN correspondent for reporting in Ukrainian-occupied Russia. CNN details an investigation by the news network into the current state of Russian involvement in various international affairs is causing some issues for some CNN reporters who are in the region. This highlights some of the geopolitical issues and tensions going on in international politics and just how bad a neighbor Russia actually is. The fact that they have people on the ground, that's CNN, independent journalists out there, more or less independent journalists, some dependent on their companies, of course, reporting on the scenes as they happen to give people an idea what's going on, as opposed to listen to the Russian state news, which is saying exactly what they want people to hear, which is usually not what's actually going on. We're going to see if this turns into something where they're actually going to pull up some stuff. I think they didn't pull the name in the robot editing stuff. It got a little chat GTP crazy for a bit and just rolled over a very high level stuff. But I think that's Matthew Chance in the picture that we have here, who's reporting in the Russian territory that Ukrainians were actually fighting in and getting more or less some truth out there. And you can fight me on how truthful CNN is. But having someone that is in Russia telling us what's going on in Russia, it's an issue for Russia, and Russia may turn this into an issue going forward. Another story that I'm going to semi-apologize for the robot editor for pulling it in sort of odd way, but this is a story that just is sort of a nightmare for anyone. The body of a missing California woman was discovered in cold storage container at a hospital. The problem was this woman's been missing for a year. She has not been able to be seen for a year, and the family was told by the hospital that she was released. She left. She went on her own. She should have returned back to wherever home was. It's just amazing, all the missteps that happened to this. This happened in California a year after hospitals said that she checked out of the hospital. They found the body in cold storage. The family is livid. The family is just up in arms. Family wants answers now that they can't get now because there's got to be a whole lot of investigation to talk about this stuff. This is a story that just, if something happened like this to you, whether, you're working for the hospital and you find this thing out, or if you're literally the family and find out your loved one has been dead for a year and you just thought they were out there missing, just wandering the streets. This is something that's literally incalculable. This is something that you cannot come up with an idea of how to process this. I cannot give enough thoughts, prayers, positive energy for the family who is trying to deal with this one right here, knowing they lost a loved one literally twice. One not knowing where they were, and now finding out they've been gone. They've been dead for all this time, and they could not mourn this person. Now they have to go through all this stuff right now. This is a serious issue where multiple people need to be fired, and some people need to be brought back and refired 3 or 4 times for something like this. This is ridiculous. Okay. Something else that might sound a little ridiculous. Some Ron DeSantis news. And what's he doing right now in Florida may have you scratching your heads, or may just be another day in Ron DeSantis' Florida. The headline for story number 5, Floridians balk at DeSantis' administration plan to build golf courses at state parks. So, just as it says, Governor Ron DeSantis wants to, or it's his administration, folks that kind of work for him, wants to consider developing some state parks and turning them into golf courses, I should say, not so much resorts, maybe some pickleball courts and some other amenities. These are things like, if you see the picture here, kind of swampland. Some of those state parks are just literally just open areas of wilderness, and in Florida, a lot of that is swampland. Some of it is wilderness that's mountainous. Some of it is things that you can maybe camp on. But the administration wants to open up some more public stuff to do more communal stuff, like play golf and play pickleball and other amenities to make it more, accessible for people who just want to hang out for a day, as opposed to people who are going to do for a long walk. They think is a way to boost tourism. You go to a site and you can actually do some stuff as opposed to just walk around. But of course, the people are wondering about the ecological issues, destroying savannas and wetlands and swamplands because you want to put up a golf course. And there's only so much you can do with the beautifulness of a golf course that you can't do with the beautifulness of natural beauty and real parks. The environmental people are, of course, already scratching their heads and wondering what exactly they're going to do with this thing. This is bigger than arguing with Disney, although there are some issues with the Disney thing. There's some political wrangling that old Walt did back in the day that made this thing maybe something that's to be looked into. Paving paradise to put up a parking lot usually doesn't work out so well. As Joni Mitchell says, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Let's move on to this story. This is an interesting read for this one. The new study shows that doom scrolling, sitting your phone and just kind of over and over again, leads to, and just basically watching just doom scrolling, watching through short form videos like your TikToks, your YouTube shorts, things like that, actually leads to more boredom and less satisfaction. You're snacking a lot, but you're not getting full. From Early Game, this is a blog or news site, that discusses a new study that reveals potential negative effects of continually scrolling through short videos, which should seem obvious, but they did an article for it for us to talk about, and you guys got into this one, which means you did less doom scrolling of my YouTube shorts, which may or may not be a good thing. But they basically found that people on TikTok and Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, when they just scroll through watching videos over again because of boredom, they can be even more bored and actually feel less satisfied than, watching other things, doing other things. The findings highlight how the rapid consumption of short, fast-paced content might diminish the ability to engage deeply with more meaningful activities and ultimately affecting your mental well-being. This is not the goldfish has a the attention span of 10-second thing. This is not that thing, but this is another serious issue. When we consume things on a rapid level, you see this when you're doing things like that. This is something, the addiction thing. You need more. You need more. You need more. And as you get more of it, you get this fewer returns, diminishing returns. It gets less and less. You need more of it. This is essentially the addiction factor of short form videos, making it so you have to watch more to feel like you're being entertained, but you're actually getting less entertained in the process. This is a story that's been brewing for a bit, and we're going to cover it pretty quickly because we've got a long Friday and a lot of things to get to, but this is when you guys engaged in it, so we can get it out there, give just a slight bit of commentary, but get this quickly because this is one that we're going to have to actually wait and see how it plays out. Although we've been waiting to see for a while to see if anything happened. The French actor Gerard Depardieu should face trial over rape allegations, says prosecutors. Now, all the time that prosecutors have talked about potential charges and trials over rape and sexual assault allegations, now the prosecutor's office of Paris says that they want to have a trial. He should have a trial. This is specifically on some things that happened on a report by an actress made in 2018. So this one's been out there for a while. First indicted in 2020 on other cases of wrongdoing. Now the courts and the prosecutors say we need to push for this one and see how this thing works out. We're going to see whether we should see if he's going to face some time, do some sort of penance for these actual allegations, if we can prove that they are actual crimes. It's not quite Me Too, but it is something, and we're going to see what happens for Gerard Depardieu coming forward. Very popular actor, 10, 20 odd years ago. A lot of things done for younger people, a lot of things done just for fun. And it's just, one of those guys that you just didn't know what you didn't know. It's the whole Cosby thing where Cosby was doing all these great things and doing all this stuff and breaking barriers and being America's dad for all these years. And in the background, doing not so dad things to some people that really sicken us all. So now his name and his likeness has been kind of pushed aside from everything. And all the good things he's done get overlooked and lost in the wash. Finally, I had no idea, but headline for number 8. If you need a kicker story for the beginning of the weekend, here you go. Thoughts and prayers, positive energy for the loss of Sven, the famous gay penguin from the Sea Life Sydney Aquarium. But the headline goes further. One half of gay penguin power couple dies, and his partner Magic leads tribute in song. Sven, who is half of the gay penguin power couple who got famous in 2018 as they actually joined forces to raise some baby penguins. Not that they were actually, in love with each other and got married, but there was just 2 male penguins who raised some baby penguins together. So they became the penguin power couple. Had no idea. One of them died. And when one of them died, they tried to explain the loss to Magic, the surviving penguin, because you explain these things to penguins, apparently. What happened, what's going on. And in the process, a happy feet moment started where all the penguins broke into song. I'm not making this up. This is actual story. Click on the link and read it for yourself. This is not, I'm not even reading the AI generated a blurb of it because it's just so unbelievable. I mean, just the whole thing is just sort of odd. This has been an odd week. I mean, we spent 4 days of it dealing with the Democratic National Convention, comparing it to the Republican National Convention, doing all that stuff and doing what real news, real politics, things that are important. This is something that's interesting. This is something engaging and conversational. But this is something that was so far out there that when I heard it in a news clip on the radio, it was like what? And then it popped up in one of the aggregators I looked at. So it's like, let's put this in here. We need to fill it out. This, my friends, one of the top engaged stories of yesterday. And we put it in fairly late in the day. So this one was able to overtake some of the big ones that had all day to gestate. The gay power couple penguins, one of them passing, and his partner going into song to mourn the loss of Sven. You can't make these things up. I didn't make this one up either because this one is also a little too weird and on the nose to be made up. Our teaser story for the morning. The teaser story is the section where we tell you a story that's in the feed, something out there that you can engage in, that you can help us talk about in the next iteration. Now, today is Friday. On Monday, we're going to talk about 10 stories in the program because we'll take 10 stories from top 30 or so stories of the weekend. We get 30 stories essentially in a day. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday means about 90 stories. So we're going to take basically 10-ish of the top ones of the day, 30 of them, and pull 10 from them to give to you in this presentation. That's how it works out. Today, you got 8 from top 15 of about 30 stories. What you're going to see is the stories that come down your feeds in Facebook and x.com/th_conversation and facebook.com/This is Conversation Project. And what you're doing is you're engaging in the stories as we post them to let us know what stories are interesting to talk about. You guys wanted to talk about the gay penguins. Yes, there were other stories we kind of cut out to put it in there, but you guys apparently wanted to talk about the gay penguins. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we talked about. And we'll talk more about them if that's what you want to talk about, because the Conversation Project is about conversations you want to have. Well, we talk about this one, which is Ohio woman needs 9 stitches after being hit by airborne Hulk Hogan beer can. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, give you a little bit of extra effect, a little silence for effect. Maybe you'll hear the swallow in the background. Hide some of the just weirdness that is all over my thought. But this is what we're putting out there. This doesn't have to be a story to talk about on Monday. You can talk about anything you want to. So go to our feeds, engage in all the stories that you want to engage in. When you check your other stuff, see what we're doing right there. And if you don't want to talk about Hulk Hogan beer cans assaulting people in midair, then don't choose it. However, I think your curiosity cannot be contained, and think more than a few people will click on this one, and this will be highly engaged and has a good chance of actually making it into the show come Monday. Now, let's go to the shows. That's all the shows, all the TV, all the sports, all the news, all you want from YouTube TV. And this week's sponsor, we're highlighting YouTube TV. And you can go to our website link for our affiliate link, because we get commission for this, at thisistheconversationproject.com/YouTube TV. Why should you do this? YouTube TV is one of the most comprehensive streaming services out there. I can say that bar none. They're one of the best, which is more subjective because I think they're the best. They offer you 100 live channels with no contracts. You can kill it when you feel like it, and no hidden fees. What you see when you press the button is there. If it says it'll cost $175 for Max, which it doesn't quite cost $175, that's how much you pay for Max. NFL Sunday Ticket, this is what it costs for Sunday Ticket. This is what it costs for the basketball package, the baseball package, the sports package for hockey. This is for the big extended news package, for the package that gives you extra, like Chiller and Scream, that gives you extra things on that for this horror story type stuff. This is what it costs. And not only do you get the $10 off the first 3 months, because that's what they give you for showing up for them as a brand new customer, using our link, we, as your friend, will give you $15 off the first chunk anyway. That's a total of $45 off your start for YouTube TV. So what are you waiting for? Well, you're waiting for the end of the show, of course, but once you get done the show, go to thisistheconversationproject.com/YouTube TV and find them today. Sign up today. Get ready today. Football season is literally in weeks. Basketball coming up pretty soon. Baseball is getting to the hot season where things start to matter. A lot of games for a long summer. The dog days are almost over, so things in the fall and start to wrap up for actual baseball that really matters, and we're almost there. Plus news, plus entertainment, plus movies, plus all those things from YouTube TV. Check it out at thisistheconversationproject.com/YouTube TV. Get $45 off your brand new subscription on us. 15 on us, 10 on them, times 3, 45. That's how it works out. Now, quick chance to highlight us. The Conversation Project lives online at thisistheconversationproject.com. This is our website, our online home. You can stop by there, find out more about us anytime you want to. We, as a project, this project, I need to actually go back and check and see exactly how long we're doing this. I'll go archives. I think this is essentially year 4 on the video package of news stories in the morning, and how this grew out from a couple things. This is essentially the melding of 2 projects. The Conversation Project was originally meant to be a survey project for folks back when the surveys were big on Facebook, and the 8 Things to Talk About newsletter, which was a daily newsletter which gave you 8 stories. The way the newsletter worked, it changed over time, and putting it here together was something, and then we decided to put it in video. It was always a podcast that went along with the newsletter, and it turned to that one. So learn about our origins and how we got there. Learn about how we're going forward with this, things going forward for the Conversation Project. Find out where we are in video, in audio, in newsletter form, because links to all the various forms are there online. Find out how you can help us with the project, how you can help us do better and go further by being a partner or visiting more of our sponsors. And of course, just chat us up with your following us on the feeds. The most important thing is to follow us on the feeds so we know what news headlines and stories to talk about. And of course, email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com to give us more details on how to get stuff done. If you're a partner, you kind of get an inside scoop of what's going on, but that doesn't make you anything special. You just are a partner. That doesn't make you special, I guess. You are directly contributing to the program. We'll shout out the sponsors, the partners at the end of the program, but just want to remind you that we need the help. If you're not up to offering us anything financially, emailing us is great, and following us in the feeds is the most important thing because it gives us stories to talk about. If you want to support us financially and know more deep details of what's going on and give us some bigger feedback, and sometimes it is bitter feedback, we'll take it. Go to our partnerships page and become a partner, and we got you covered. It is time for the fun stuff. We did the news. We had some fun. Well, we did the news. We did the business. Now let's have some fun with things you might ought to know for Friday, August 23rd, 2024. And this one is a amalgamation, a big old group of people who are older. They're all beautiful in their own way, very beautiful, but they are older folks. They just picked out basically the nostalgia group. These are folks that were big in my day as a kid, and one of them really big in the rerun game, which is something that doesn't really exist as it did back in the day. Starting off with Big Love, Big Love, Big Love, and boing on your head for Barbara Eden turning 93 years old on the day. Barbara Eden was, the smoke show back in the day. She was hot stuff on TV, but most of us got our real love for Barbara Eden as Jeannie, who was a genie, who oddly enough starred with Larry Hagman, who before he became Gerard Ewing and the most evil man in the world, was just some dude who was an astronaut who found the genie and brought the genie home and ended up marrying the genie and all sorts of things. The hijinks they had in TV shows from back in the 50s and 60s, you think were weird these days. Go back to what was more, we'll say, wholesome. Even though Jeannie did wear a bikini, she was, covered in, kind of the sheer, I guess not sheer stuff. She was covered from head to toe, even though she was basically wearing a bikini and lived in a bottle and was essentially, we're not going to say that word because I don't want to get any strikes against us, but essentially just living as a indentured servitude to some dude who she decided, she called him master. Yeah, I went ahead and said that. But Barbara Eden, who's a very beautiful person, doing great things, actually a big activist right now. You see her doing all sorts of things out there in the world at 93, knocking things out of the park at 93. Shelley Long turning 75 and Rick Springfield turning 75. So this was one, or these are ones for the older generations. These are folks, Rick Springfield, a big rocker back in the 80s, and Shelley Long, of course, doing movies like Beverly Hills Scout Group, whatever, the scouting movie from Troop Beverly Hills there, and Cheers and things like that. So much love to those folks on their birthdays today. Today's history lesson starts off in 1784, where Eastern Tennessee declared itself an independent state under the name of Franklin. The step was rejected by the United States Congress 1 year later. Franklin, Tennessee has been kind of an outskirts, kind of one of those things for quite some time. Apparently, it's been really quite some time that Franklin, Tennessee is kind of showing out all the time. Let's go to 2000. Richard Hatch is the first winner of the TV show Survivor. Now, by my math, that means the show is 24 years old, 24, 25 years old. And they're on season 40 because TV math. Richard Hatch, in what was at the time a very, actually not so much controversial, but a brand new thing, doing this show where they tape these folks for, I guess they're on the island for about a month, living in solitude, except for camera folks who ate snacks around them all the time. And watching them scheme and connive to win some money. Of course, Richard Hatch has gone on to do even worse things, found out that he got to be an evil, conniving person in the Survivor show and was good at it because he was kind of a bad guy to begin with. Those things happen. But Survivor and its spawn of shows, of these types of shows, kicking things off with the original finale in 2000 on this day. In 2012, the 7-time Tour de France winner, Lance Armstrong, announced he would not contest the U.S. anti-doping agency's charges of him doping, a result of which would include being stripped of all his Tour de France victories. Lance Armstrong saw his fall from grace on this day where he just said, I'm just giving up. I'm going to just give up. He didn't actually admit to cheating in real words, but he did sort of stop the fight as he was being accused of doping. Let's go to our word of the day. Go to thebigwordsproject.com and look up more big words. This word, not very big, but it's a pretty strong, powerful word. A very strong wind is the definition for the word gale, G-A-L-E, gale, like Dorothy Gale. Ironically, the sailors braced themselves as the gale roared across the open sea, threatening to overturn their vessel. That is used in a sentence, the word gale. Go out there and use that in a sentence today. You may have some winds. You might go on. You might be talking about this upcoming hurricane that's forming, or tropical storms forming in the Pacific. Good use of the word gale. You can use that for that one there as well. Let's go on to an affirmation for today. Today's affirmation on this day. If you want more about affirmations, go to the link that's in this presentation, or search 100 affirmations pane on your book source. We're basically anywhere electronic books are sold, and physical books as well, including Barnes & Noble and, of course, the Amazon. I am a creator of my own destiny. It reinforces self-belief, where it affirms that you are the creator of your own destiny and strengthens your belief in your ability to shape your future. This enhanced self-belief helps combat negative thoughts and fosters a positive self-image, leading to improved self-esteem and confidence. You, as creator of your own destiny, make the rules of the game that you are playing. You lay the bricks for your own path. You take the machete and you whack through the weeds and whack through the brush in your own trailblazing ability. Or sometimes you build yourself something in a nice quiet, because that's what you want to do. You take a nice quiet space and build yourself something on top of it there. If you want to build your castle, or your sand castles, or your house on sand, that's kind of your thing. But because you are the creator of your own destiny, you know what to do. You should know better. Firm foundation is the way to go, and you put that firm foundation down every single day. Now, let's get out of here. With Cuban Sandwich Day, I believe there will be a call to Jimmy John's so we can get their Cubano sandwich. I think it's happening today. We are going to enjoy a Cuban sandwich today. Hopefully you like Cuban sandwiches. The classic Cuban sandwich is it's a typically made with ham, roast pork, Swiss cheese, pickles, and mustard. It's simple. It's some meat and some cheese smashed together with some mustard and pickles. It's on Cuban bread, which makes it Cubano. And various variations. I may add tomatoes and lettuce because I need to get my greens in there, but it's there. But one of the coolest things about this sandwich is that it's not just a sandwich. It's also a dip, or something to dip in. You can take a Cubano sandwich, take a Cuban sandwich, because it's so toasted and thin, and you press it down into pieces and dip it into soup to go along with it. It's just like grilled cheese. The Cubano sandwich is a great comfort food for adding things to your dish, whether it's by itself with a nice bag of jalapeno chips, or dip it in some creamy, cheesy soup. A Cuban sandwich is a great thing today, and I would suggest Cuban sandwiches all around for this Friday. Also, sponge cake day. And today is Hug Your Sweetheart Day. I will hug my sweetheart. I'll try to hug my daughter, although I'm sure she'll try to do an escape route. And that'll be all the hugs we'll get today, because I only have one sweetheart, only have one daughter, and the boy's 30 and doesn't really care. So let's get into our Friday, shall we? Hopefully we get on Friday. If you're watching this live for the recording, the live to tape recording in the morning, we have a full Friday ahead of us. So let's get into it. If you're watching it later in the day or on some other day, hopefully your Friday was good. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you had a great Friday to wrap up a very, very busy week. Crazy in some cases, personally crazy, busy with what's going on in convention. And now our eyes are wide open to November to get this vote on. Now, quick shout out to our contributors, our partners who visit us via the Buy Me a Coffee platform. And if you want to join the gang there, go to the link inside of this presentation and go to buymeacoffee.com/JCliffordPayne and sign up for a tier. There's also at the Conversation Project's partnership link, some links for one-time donation spots as well that you may have on your phone that makes it easy to go. Our spare change tier is Joy Winters at $1 a month. At $5 a month, a cup of coffee tier, Harold Braxton, Colby Green, and my boy, Eldon Kidd. Eldon Kidd is a pseudonym that was technically stolen from me from a guy I know from way back when that does a celebration to the dirtiest player on American Gladiators. Go watch the the documentary, and you'll understand. But Eldon Kidd, who's been one of my ride or dies for quite some time, toss in $5 a month, and we appreciate every little bit. Now, every little bit helps us do things around here and get past some things. If you deem us well and worthy, we will be good stewards of your funds and your contributions in what's going on. If you don't deem us that well or worthy, just email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com and follow us in the feeds, which is how we get the stories in line every day. Life is great, even when your life is not going so great. So remember that when things aren't going well, that things could be worse, and that life itself, it's a blessing. There are times when things just aren't going so great and you just cannot fathom how you're going to make it through the next step. Find someone to talk to, find some ray of sunshine, find something to do to get you past that moment, because life itself is a treasure. Love you folks. Mean it so much. We will see you again come Monday on this show here, things you might not have heard. Tomorrow on Saturday, we record the show we call the Weekly Wrap Up, where we'll go through 12 stories from the past week that seem to be the best stories. We're going to go through the stories. I'm just literally going to put all the stories together. So we're not doing the math in our head, but there's 5 days worth of stories. And we're going to go through them over 40-ish stories of the week. And we're going to go through how they come through for the best part. Okay, I'm waning out. I'm running out of steam, running out of energy. Let's get this thing wrapped up. Love you, mean it. Be with us come Monday. Be with us this Friday. Watch the videos we have. Share the videos, share the audio, share the love with other folks. We have more people in the conversation. We are now moving away from the target of 3,000 watch hours. So I need some folks to watch a lot of our videos this weekend on YouTube. I need that. Trust me. I need that. I need you guys to just live your lives, be good people, and see